Question number 10, Sue Bradford.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Housing. What changes is the government planning to the Housing Innovation Fund and the Rural Housing Programme?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, as promised in National's manifesto, we will be increasing the Housing Innovation Fund's capital funding from $12 million to $20 million. On the Rural Housing Programme, Labor did not budget for it in this current year. Unfortunately, Housing New Zealand are having to fund it out of its own income, and we're talking to the Māori Party and iwi groups about how this type of scheme can continue, either in a different form, but certainly with scale, providing, perhaps through the Housing Innovation Fund, new houses such as those in papakāinga developments.
Sue Bradford.
What is the Minister's response to Northland District Health Board member Craig Brown, who's raised concerns that the Rural Health Programme in fact may not continue past June this year, despite the fact that poor housing is one of the most serious health issues in Northland?
Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, I agree with Mr Brown that health issues are associated with housing, rural housing, Māori housing, and also in state housing, and that's why this government was shocked to find that Housing New Zealand had become a slum landlord under the previous government.
Sue Bradford.
Can the Minister guarantee that, in fact, the increased funding he announced for the Housing Innovation Fund, which the Green Party welcomed, will not just be taken away from existing programs like the Rural Housing Programme?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Currently, the Rural Housing Programme isn't funded through the Housing Innovation Fund. They're two different income streams. In terms of the Housing Innovation Fund increases, all I've ever had is people praising the fact that we're putting more money in. We're going to put it into organisations who have a track record, who have an asset base, and who can deliver more housing for more people with scale.
Sue Bradford.
How does the Minister expect most community sector housing groups to survive if their capacity grants and feasibility funding is removed, which is what has been suggested for the Housing Innovation Fund? And if the fund is only going to be available for capital costs, where else does he think community sector housing groups, including iwi and hapu groups, are going to be able to get their funding from?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, I'm advised from colleagues that the Labor Party gave capacity grants undefined in a number of areas for no reason, with no accountability. In the housing area, we will only be giving capacity grants to those who have a track record, who have assets such as money or land or other properties, who have actually provided housing in the past. The message is, if you have no capacity, there will be no grants.
Sue Bradford.
Does the Minister not understand that for any community sector organisation, including hapu and iwi organisations, if they don't have infrastructure and capacity funding and the ability to do feasibility studies on projects, they will not be able to achieve anything, even though the community housing sector is such a potentially rich source of jobs, meeting real, desperate housing needs?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, we're happy to provide capacity grants to groups who are actually going to provide houses, who have proven to provide houses in the past. We are not going to feed endless groups mushrooming up under the Labor Party for no reason. They actually have to deliver houses, real roofs for real families under real pressure.